Hello, my Teaserking family. Well. I found Aegon. He's on the Gold Switzerland channel. So I found a few of his videos. I mean, it's the same old buy gold. I don't worry about the gold price. I know it's going up. I know the central banks are going to fuck everything up. You gotta love Aegon. So here's his channel. So I'm waiting for Bobby, and I'll play some Aegon, or if he doesn't come on, I'll still play some Aegon. Anyway, I found this strange video on capitalism and communism. So, knowing me, I'm just curious. It's such a bad video. But I saw the communists today, and I said, now I know why you think like you do. You saw this video. That's incredibly stupid, but that's how you think. So he goes to me, well, I'm a Marxist Leninist. I said, well, you don't have to tell me how stupid you are. I mean, I know you're stupid if you're a communist. I says, how many people from Russia that come here want to go back? Zero. If it's so great, why would they leave? I go, so then I got to the bottom of the communists. He says, well, I don't want to work with corrupt managers or corrupt owners. And I says, well, you can get Putin. He's not corrupt, but if you run against him, he kills you, and he's a dictator. So you prefer a dictator over a guy who's not so clean here. But guess what? The guys here go to jail, and they're not all corrupt, but we know Putin's corrupt. And I just logically, you're the dumbest guy I've ever seen. And you admit you're a communist, Marxist, Leninist, and I just roll my eyes. I go, you're the dumbest guy I've ever met. I mean, he's proud he's a communist, but he thinks it's corrupt here because he watches this video. So I'm going to get into this video a little bit. Just to really dispel it, because it really bothers me. They're talking about it, but they don't really get to, I guess it'd be like me talking about football, but I don't get into how I bat or the type of teams, or we want a defensive team or a good quarterback. They just kind of get in, well, this team turns the ball over more than the other team, so we bet against them. And you're leaving out 99% of it. It really is pathetic.
Good 10 cents. Bra and panty organizer, great and perfect.
All right, sorry, it's YouTube with the stupid fucking commercial. So, in this communist capitalist, he kind of makes the capitalist. Well, I'll just show you a minute of it, and then we'll get to the meat and potatoes.
We see this on the streets, but we know that in society we have the Apple company, we have Starbucks companies, we have Walmart companies, we have all of these different companies, okay? This is, Adam Smith said, this is the idea of capitalism. Capitalism is where people in society go to work every day at one of these particular places, and they work for somebody that had the foresight and that really pushed very hard to open up a company and to get a company going where other people would work.
Misses the entire point.
The idea of capitalism, we have what is called market competition. Market competition means that if this man down here decides that he's going to open up a company called Exxon, he goes out and he gets investors, or he gets people to put their money into his idea. If they know him and they think that he's a hard worker, they will want to invest in his company because he will give them a small share of the company or a bit of stock from the company. And as the company makes money, those people will make money along with the entrepreneur or the person that opened that company. So an entrepreneur is a person that goes out and starts a company.
What does that have to do with
His
capitalism?
company, Exxon, as we know, is constantly competing with other companies like Mobil, okay? Other companies like Sunoco, all these different gas companies that we know, okay? He will actually be competing with them. Let me give you a quick example of market competition here. If you come over here to our examples here, these are two examples that you all know about pretty well. Walmart is a company that is everywhere. There's almost no street in America that you can drive down that you don't see either a Walmart or a Starbucks.
Really?
In the 1980s, no one had ever heard of this company, Walmart. In fact, there was another company by the name Kmart. Kmart is still around today, but it is slightly around in comparison to Walmart. What Kmart did, because it was the #1 distributor in America, is it got kind of lazy. It started thinking, we don't have any competition. We're always going to be on top. And what happened as a result is this company, Walmart, came along, and they had a guarantee in their early days. Times have changed a little bit, but their guarantee was that if there were 3 people in line, they would always open up another register. One of the things.
Okay, so where's this guy going? So he quotes Adam Smith, but doesn't talk about Adam Smith. Then he says you work for a company, but he doesn't talk about division of labor. We work for an entrepreneur. Okay, so if you didn't have the entrepreneur, you wouldn't have the business. But that eludes him. And it eludes him that we work for where we want to work. And we get paid based on our skill set, based on our divisional labor, which comes from Adam Smith. Competition is simply competition. That's good. You want competition. You want more stores in. So I don't know really where he's going. He doesn't explain anything, but he's trying to make capitalism look bad, which I fail to see why it looks bad. I fail to see the negative, but he throws Adam Smith out there without explaining division of labor, invisible hand, Say's law, all the real fundamental points that I teach you about Austrian economics or capitalism, which is basically freedom, and basically you're free to choose. You're free to choose where you want to work, not if I work for Enron or Exxon or Starbucks, I'm free to go and work for anywhere I want and go to the highest bidder. He's not talking about that. All right, so let's move on to the Nazi here.
People complained about it. This other company, Kmart, was that there were always long lines. And so Walmart came in. They had brightly lit stores. Their stores were bigger than the Kmart stores. They always opened new lines, and they basically started running.
So he's talking about how do you compete? So that's competition. That's very good. If you hear the competition's problems of 3 people in line and they're bitching about it, and you make these self-checkouts, okay, I'm failing to see the problem, right? That's smart business, and you'll take business away. Again, that's good. That's not what you get in communism. You get one store and you have to like it. And you get one item and you have to like it at a price that's not free market. You don't have free market. Government controls everything in communist, but he won't say that. And in capitalism, he's trying to knock competition for some reason, but let's go.
Kmart out of business with their guarantee that they always had low prices. Walmart came along and said, we don't go on sale. We are a 365-day-a-year sale. So Walmart did some very good things. Starbucks did some very similar things with companies like Dunkin' Donuts that had been around for a long time.
That's donuts. That's not Starbucks.
Starbucks wasn't necessarily better at making coffee, but they were better at creating an atmosphere around coffee.
No, they had their own coffee
beans. This is what we
beans.
call market competition. Dunkin' Donuts has really had to shape up and has changed its act in a lot of ways and has pushed forward and has seen as a result that it's starting to do a lot better because it had to compete in order to stay in
It had
business.
to compete
Adam
before.
Smith said this is a great thing. Let companies compete, because when companies compete, what happens is people that go into these companies, when you walk into a Walmart, you get the best products for the lowest price. Why? Because they are competing against Kmart. And you also, along with that, get good service. At least that's the intention.
So what's wrong with that?
Starbucks, same thing. Good service. How many times do you go in and the baristas know you by name? They do that on purpose because they want your business. They have to constantly be competing. This all goes back to this idea of capitalism. Companies compete. The best companies survive. The companies that don't do well and don't produce good products at great prices go out of business, and ultimately the people that go to these places win. They do well. Okay? In a capitalistic society, as you guys know because you live in one, there is an unequal distribution of income. Unequal, meaning
okay, here's where he starts becoming a communist. The owner takes the risk, so therefore, if you take the risk, hi Kenzie, how are you today? You should stick around. You might learn something. Did you buy gold, or you still own the stupid Bitcoin? So here's where the guy's talking. I don't know what he's talking about. That's not capitalism. That's not Adam Smith. This distribution of income. If me and Bobby want to open up a Starbucks, we put in our capital. We take the risk, so we get the reward. I pay the people fair market value. So if you're pouring the coffee, well, what's the going rate for it? Why should they own the business? I own the business. I took the risk. So this is where this is where it becomes very communistic. And the guy at the hot tub, this is how he talks. The sharing of the thing he thinks is wrong.
End of the day, the entrepreneur that opened up this Apple company, okay? He just died several years ago. Or last
year. Who cares?
He is going to make millions of dollars at the end of the day.
Okay? He invested it.
Some of his high managers are going to make a bunch of money, but the lowest person, let's say the person that sweeps the floor at Apple, is not going to make a lot of money. And when I say lowest person, I mean lowest person on the economic scale. They're not going to make a lot of money. So
skill set.
The distribution of income or of money is unequal. That creates some problems in a capitalistic society.
No, it doesn't.
What do you do about the people that don't make enough money to pay their basic bills? How does society deal with that problem?
So let's go back to division of labor. I got a master's in finance, so I get paid properly. If I don't have a skill set and I got to work at Myers as the greeter, I make what a greeter at Myers makes. So it's based on the individual to get the skill set that gets him more money. That's what the free market does. The free market system says, oh, senior financial analyst, this is what you make. Oh, you're going to push carts, this is what you make. And I used to push carts, and I made a lot less. Oh, you're a manager, this is what you make. Oh, you invested and you took the risk, and if it failed, you lost all the money. He doesn't talk about that. So basically, now he's turning it into not capitalism. He's turning it into, how are we supposed to take care of the poor? Well, we still do, but in capitalism, you're free to get your division of labor. You're free to learn a skill that pays you good money. Why should the guy who invested and took the risk to make the company, he paid the guy a wage? It's up to the guy to take care of himself, not for everybody else to take care. And that's where he starts missing me.
To that, you have a man named Karl Marx.
Yeah, here's the communist.
People, but it was primarily Karl Marx that we credit this to. Wrote a book called The Communist Manifesto.
I'm in the hot tub right now.
Society should be set up different economically. He said all of the people should own all of the means of production, meaning the factories, or as we call them today.
That's what the communist says.
So in other words,
I'm in the hot tub.
All the people that work for Starbucks and that go and work for Walmart and that go and work for Apple, they would all collectively own the businesses. So if Walmart does especially good in a year and makes 10% extra in profit, that 10% extra in profit does not just go to the CEOs and the entrepreneurs, the people that started the company. It would be distributed equally. This is where we get this idea.
See, now this guy's out of his fucking mind, right? Why would that happen? First of all, it's based on your skill set. Why would the entrepreneur get penalized? This is not about everybody gets a chunk. Now, what he's not saying is normally if I do well, so me and Bobby run a Starbucks and we do well, we make $10 million, we're going to give out bonuses, right? But the guy that we're paying $20 an hour to serve the coffee, he's not getting $1 million because we made 10 million. He'll get a bonus in accordance to what he makes, but he makes what his skill set makes. That's capitalism. Capitalism is the division of labor. So he's trying to turn communism into some sort of fucked up bullshit where, wait a minute, everybody's equal, everybody should make because we made money. Well, you would never have anybody own the company. You would never have a Starbucks, because if I had to do this, I wouldn't take the risk of the company, and I wouldn't have a business. You take a risk by going into business. Now, maybe you buy a Starbucks franchise. Well, I'm going to pay for it. Not all the, okay. If all the workers, so if 50 people went in on it, then they'd be entitled to it. But there's one owner, not 50. So if I got to take the risk up front, I get the reward, not the guy who cleans up and the guy who serves the coffee.
Of redistribution of wealth, it would be distributed equally amongst all of the people.
Bullshit.
So if you go to a country that is communist in nature,
yeah,
those countries do not have businesses that are named after the people that started the businesses, because all the businesses,
they're all named Putin,
are started by the government, essentially. The government, or
bullshit. Again, he's wrong.
He decides what is.
Okay, that's another lie. The government doesn't start any companies. The government can't. I'm knocking this capitalism versus communism video. I found it. I was interested in it. It says capitalism versus communism. So he's explaining capitalism, but then so let's say me and you own a Starbucks and we put in 500,000 to buy the franchise and we make $1 million. We're supposed to divide it up among all the workers because everybody's supposed to have an equal share, even though we took the risk. Now he's trying to say, well, wait a minute, if we're in Russia, nobody owns it. The government owns it. Well, again, he's wrong. Let's finish this and then I'll go through it.
If there are coffee shops needed, then they send people out to open up coffee shops and so on.
Really?
And all of those businesses work together, essentially,
bullshit,
for the good of their people. And
all the people in Russia are good.
Yeah, supposed to be equal. That is at least the intention of a communist or of a socialistic system.
What a bunch of bullshit.
All of the people own the means of production, whereas in a capitalistic system, it is entrepreneurs that own the company, and entrepreneurs become fabulously wealthy because of that fact.
And they also fail, which she doesn't say.
Down at the bottom here, we said redistribution of wealth. That means essentially that anywhere where there is unequal wealth, the government collects taxes from the rich and redistributes that money back to the very poor in society.
Oh, really?
To make sure that the
inequities
or the unfairness
it stops at Putin.
Happens in capitalistic
unfairness. Oh my
God.
God.
Not take place.
This is 3.
Okay, this guy's so full of shit that I'm ready to throw up. Okay, first of all, without a entrepreneur, so if me and Bobby want to invest in a Starbucks, we put up the money. Therefore, we take the risk. Therefore, if it fails, we lose. But he forgot to say that the companies sometimes don't work. He's implying every company we go into works. We make a lot of money and we keep it. It's not fair that the guy who sweeps the floor doesn't get even distribution. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Just getting in. I watched that video, and then I saw the communists tonight, and I actually talked to him. I says, oh, I watched the video where you're getting your bullshit from. And he was all proud. Oh, yeah, I'm a communist, Marxist, Leninist. I says, yeah, I know you're an idiot, but, you know, the problem is you're so stupid that you actually think that's good. And so after watching that video, I now get it, that they think everything's equal, that the difference is the government runs the market, not the individual. The government would never have a Starbucks there because you have to have an entrepreneur who actually invests and takes his risk. That's why we have businesses here. We're taking the risk, we get the reward. However, when we take the risk and lose, we don't share with the employees, don't pay us back. We lose everything. So you're taking a risk, therefore you get the reward. In communism, they don't take from the rich and give to the poor. They make the rich poor and the poor poor. And then you have a few oligarchs who run the businesses, who make all the money, like Putin and all his oligarchs who own all these big fucking monster ships. The poor doesn't get the money. I don't know where this guy gets his fucking facts from, but he says Adam Smith and he says competition. And after that, he doesn't say division of labor. He doesn't say free market. He doesn't say invisible hand. So he tries to paint the picture, Adam Smith this, Karl Marx that. And he tries to say how good communist is, because look, if they do well, they everybody splits it, which is total bullshit. Putin gets the money and keeps it. That's it. That's the way Russia works. I said to the communists today, I said, have you ever met a guy from Russia who wants to go back? You won't, because anybody I've ever talked to from Russia, and I know a lot of Russian people who have came here, would never go back because it's horrible there. You are poor. You are not have a chance to be. You do not have a chance to own a Starbucks. Yes, the government owns it, but they take all the profit. You get what they want to give you. Daria lives there. She makes X. That's it. And if the costs go up, she doesn't get a raise. Here, if me and Bobby own the Starbucks, we determine how much of the paid people. We determine bonuses. We make $10 million. Sure, we're giving out bonuses. You think they're going to do that in Russia? You think the communists are going to give bonuses out? Putin's going to take the money, and that's it, and you're fucked. And if you don't like it, you're in Siberia in a jail somewhere. That's communism, but he doesn't want it. He wants to, I don't get these videos. He wants to paint communism as good, and he wants to make capitalism look bad. And that's why I'm dealing with these idiots in the hot tub who see that and go, wow, this is great. One thing I did learn from the communists today, I made a comment to him. I said, I've never known anybody from Russia who wants to go back. He says, well, at least they don't have corrupt businessmen running their companies. I go, no, they just have a dictator running the country. And by the way, the corrupt guys running the companies do go to jail, like Enron and Madoff and Weinstein and all these guys go to jail. They don't, they're not corrupt, and then just nothing happens to them. So I wanted to point that out because this is what we're fighting against. So I teach you Austrian economics, invisible hand, division of labor, how economics works, and what capitalism is invisible hand. Just get away. Yes, competition's fine. And, he made a comment about, well, nobody wanted to stand in line at Kmart, but Walmart would open up another register. Well, that costs Walmart money. Do they do it now? No. Well, now they have you or your own cashier, and they don't pay you. But yeah, when you're going to compete, you do drive the prices down and quality goes up. That's good. That's good for the consumer. That's what we want. We want that stuff. But communism is government-run markets. Capitalism's free market. So they're not telling you the whole picture. Now, why is this idiot coming out and trying to make capitalism look bad and communism look good without really telling you the whole story of communism, that Putin kills anybody that runs against him and he takes all the money and it does not go back to the poor. That's the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard. So again, when I see that, it makes my blood boil because he's telling lies. And this is why you got communists in the hot tub and people liking Biden and the whole interference. It's just fucking ridiculous. Now, on the good point, Bobby, for you, I got 3 Egons. Let's go through Egon number 1. And this is at...
Ain't being told no. Subaru of Ann Arbor can get you in for
fucking
service
commercial.
right away.
Ladies and gentlemen, my good...
So the title of this is... when would you not hold gold? And Egon says, when elephants can fly is when they won't hold gold. So let's go to the 2-minute mark.
In this case, because when it came to
I got an alligator one I just watched.
Not accept the ruling of the previous ruling. So hedge fund, that was illegal to market to hedge fund. But anyway, to the public, it was not illegal, and that was basically what the judgment was about. For us who concentrate on wealth preservation, I don't really focus on cryptos. It's not a market that we invest in. It's not a market we recommend to our wealth preservation clients. If they want to play in that market with small money, by all means do that. We are not doing it, and therefore I don't have a strong view, Jan. It could have been a coincidence, but it could also have been planned. But I think that most countries, they don't even know how they're going to play that market. They know that if they want to
Fucking crypto.
The central bank digital currencies, then I think they will not allow private cryptocurrencies to compete with their main currencies.
It is used for speculation, and it never turned out to be a means of exchange, what some thought it would be. But let's come to the consumer. More importantly, Egon, I found here an interesting graphic that totally puzzled me. We see here the food consumption in Germany and France, and it is declining. It is steeply declining, and it means the real household spending on food is declining. You can save money on all other spendings, but if it comes that steep to food, then the consumer must be really in trouble.
Well, Jan, this is what we've been saying for months now. The combination of massive food inflation, and we are talking about 20-30%. Some of maybe not leveled out a little bit lately, but overall, you combine that with energy inflation and fuel, etc., rent, interest rates. The consumer is suffering dramatically in all countries. Now, the problem is that there is a carryover from the good times, and that the good times were actually, again, reinforced by all the COVID contributions that people got. So people are now spending more money than they have, and that's why you see consumer debt going up in most countries. But people cannot afford, in most countries now, certainly in Europe, Western Europe, but also in the US, people cannot afford their daily life without still using too much credit. We are going to see a continuous downtrend in consumer spending, combined with still a very high level of inflation, Jan. I do not in any way think that inflation is coming down to the 2% that central banks are still aiming.
There you go. The first thing the guy was saying was he doesn't see crypto as a medium of exchange, which is what I'm saying. It's not money. I can't go to the grocery store and use Bitcoin. So in our world, Bitcoin is not money. It is this is not money, but this is a medium of exchange. I can take it, I can sell my gold and get this and take it to the grocery store, get steaks, go out to the restaurant. This is the medium of exchange. Bitcoin is not. I would never sell gold for Bitcoin. And then I'm going to do with the Bitcoin. I can't go to the grocery store or go to the restaurant with Bitcoin. Nobody takes it. If nobody takes it, it's not a medium of exchange. So Bitcoin is not money. It's not fiat. It's not a medium of exchange. To me, I'd rather own mantle cards than Bitcoin because Bitcoin has no value. This is paper. This has no value, but Bitcoin has less value. Bitcoin is I don't know what it is. That's why I said it's not money because I can't go to the grocery store with it, right? I don't know what it is. They're trying to get out of fiat. Now, as they say, if they go to CBDCs, then they don't want the competition, just like now they don't want gold to compete with the dollar. Well, too bad. They don't have a choice in that. That's what they want. But they're not going to let Bitcoin compete with crypto. But that's not going to save them anyway because we're going to be so fucked. There's nothing that crypto CBDCs aren't going to do anything. They won't be backed by gold, and they'll be out in 6 months. So everybody's worried about nothing. You can't use them at the grocery store. I mean, I'm going to go to Kroger's and say, yeah, here's my CB. No, you'll use your debit or credit card, just as you're doing now. Now he's saying is all this problem with the debit cards and credit cards. Says people can't afford it. Now, who's ahead of the game? We are. Why? Because we got gold and silver. How does that help us? Because we're not losing value in the gold and silver. We're making money on the gold and silver as they destroy COMEX. We're going to make money on gold and silver is going to keep us afloat. Everybody else is just going to be in money and they're all going to get fucked because it's going to lose value. So as groceries go up and electricity goes up and gas goes up, they're fucked. We're sitting there on gold and silver going, okay, we're going up in value. See, we're offsetting it. That's the only way you can beat these clowns is to get in the gold and silver. That's your freedom. Like I said, this is your slavery and gold and silver is your freedom. And that's what I mean by it. So as prices go up and as the value of the dollar is going down, but they're not telling you that. Nobody but me and Alligator tell you and Egon that the value of the dollar is going down. That's why prices are going up. What does everybody want to tell you? Oh, inflation, inflation's prices and it's coming down. That's not what inflation is. Inflation is you're losing value in your money. You're printing it to zero. And I think in this one, Egon, I watched 3 of them, but in this one, he says that all currencies go to zero. So any currency you have is going to zero, which means how are you going to buy food? How are you going to buy and pay for your bills? You can't. How are you going to work? I'm really interested in this one. What are you going to pay me when the dollar goes out? And as I told you, Bobby, I would strongly talk to my attorney to get paid out of your contract in gold. They'll laugh at you because it's only $2,000 an ounce. Say, well, I want my yearly salary in gold coin. And I want to hear what they tell you because they should be laughing because they won't think it'll go to anything. And they'll probably think, oh, this is cheaper than paying you in money. The only difference is the money they pay you won't be worth shit. And you're going to get paid in inflated dollars and the gold's going to go up in value. So I'd rather get paid my money in gold any day. Well, what do? I take it and I run to the gold store and buy gold with it. So in effect, I'm getting paid in gold. All right, back to let's go. So
or more from pre-pandemic figures. I would say that is a pretty dramatic situation in the USA.
Yes, and the
Talking
US
about
market
housing.
is slightly different to the European market, because there you have not the same controls and regulations when it comes to rent and rent increases and evictions. That's what we have in Europe. So that, and of course, what we've seen in the last decade or so is major institutional buyers buying up blocks and blocks of apartment buildings and increasing the rents, and that's happening now at the same time as interest rates have gone up, and they have to finance this at a higher cost, and they're putting that onto the renters, and the renters can't afford it. And so in America, the evictions will continue, and if you travel around America and go to the poor areas, you see people living in the street during cardboard boxes in many.
Let me make a comment. All right, Say's law, supply creates demand. So as BlackRock and Vanguard push the price up and people can't afford it, who's renting them? And if you're not renting them, guess what, BlackRock and Vanguard? You still owe on them. You've paid for them. Your money's out. You got to pay property taxes. You got to pay utilities. You got to pay maintenance. So it's costing these companies a ton for them to raise the price over market. And therefore, these people are getting evicted. And as he said, they're homeless because they can't afford the rents. But they can't afford to not rent them either. So if me and Bobby bought a bunch of houses and we marked the price up and we market over market and nobody buys it, then we're fucked because we put our money out. We can't get it. So this is the one part I'm a little bit confused about. They can raise the rates provided they get buyers. But if they don't have buyers, they're fucking themselves, because how are they going to get paid back? I watched another thing on Tesla. His margins are getting killed. He lowered the price again. He doesn't get there's no demand for the electric car. So he's trying to look for the market, and he can't find it because there isn't one. As I told you last time, Anheuser-Busch should go out of business because they don't have a market. So there's no price they're going to sell it for that anybody's going to buy it for. Therefore, there's no market. Therefore, you have to get out of business. Oh, wait, the communist didn't say that in his little communist. All he said is that every company makes money and that all the workers should get part of it. But he never said when the company doesn't make money. And the guy who took the risk should get the reward. He doesn't say that either. But that's the problem. You got to have a market. That's why I had to look at that capitalist communism thing, because they miss so much that we talk about. They don't talk, all they'll take it as free market and competition and everything goes well. They don't talk about Anheuser-Busch. They don't talk about no demand, no market for electric cars, no market for Anheuser-Busch. There's no demand. Oh, wait, the communists forgot to mention that part. See, that's the whole point. If there's no demand or demand drops, there is no money. And then all the workers, what do? They go find another job. Well, the entrepreneur, what does he do? Nothing. What does the state do? Well, the state loses money, but they print more money. So the state's going to cover themselves. All right. But anyway, so that's what I want to speak of. So I don't get how, if they mark the rents up and people can't afford it, it hurts the people who are marking the rents up, because if nobody's living there, they're losing their ass. And I think that BlackRock and Vanguard are losing their ass with all these marking the rents up. You have to know what your market is. You cannot sell ribs for $45, and you cannot mark up houses over the market. And what, are you just going to lose all your money on it? You're that strong, BlackRock? BlackRock doesn't own all this money. They have parts of it. In other words, if they own, Disney stock, they don't own the stock. Their guy is in the stock. So they're investment brokers or something. So it's like me, if I got somebody in with 100 ounces of gold, I don't own the gold. He owns the gold. I'm managing his gold for him, or I'm managing his money, and I'm putting him in gold. And I'd be the only broker or investment manager doing that. go buy stocks, as they would say, so they can get commission on it. It just blows my mind how stupid these people are. All right, back to.
And that will
We need a nickname for Egon, Bobby.
That's obviously a disaster for a lot of people, especially families. In Europe, it's slightly different, as I said, because you have rent controls and it's harder to evict people in most countries. But nevertheless, there are rent increases there, and of course, people who own houses have increased costs in mortgage repayments if they don't have a fixed rate, and then they have increased energy costs, dramatically increase in energy costs. All around the Western world, we're seeing these major increases, and again, it contributes to the fact that consumer hasn't got enough money to pay for necessities today. Never mind luxuries, and we are going to see a major decline in luxuries also. But let's go back to necessities. Well, that's what it's all about. I living here on the water in the summer. I hear from the people who are petrol stations on the water for boats. People are filling up a lot less now because that's a luxury. People can't afford luxuries anymore. Okay, that's for a very few people in the world, and not many own the boat. But nevertheless, it's significant because we've seen that in cities now people are still spending a lot of money going to restaurants, etc. But that's coming down to we are going to see a dramatic downturn in income, in disposable income, in discretionary income. And eventually also in wealth, and it's going to be a mystery for people, sadly, because it's what we've been talking about for years, Jan.
So that's what I tell you about. We're in a recession. If costs go up, you don't do the same things, right? That's what I've been saying for months now. I know I've been asked, are we in a recession? Absolutely. Costs are up. We're in a recession. Later on, he talks about the fake government statistics, like inflation ain't 2%, and anything the government says is a lie, which I'm sure we'll all enjoy laughing at that, because that's what I keep saying. But see, when things cost more, that's what a recession is. Now, I don't know what the fuck this deflation is. So if you can't afford it, prices aren't going down. You just heard them. BlackRock's charging an arm and a leg for rent. Prices aren't coming down. They're not lowering the rent. People have to live in the street because they're not lowering the rent. That's not, so where's the deflation? If costs come down and I still make the same margin, the deflation doesn't hurt me at all because I can sell it for less, but as long as I make 20%. So if my Canadian club, my cost 35, I sell it for 50. So if my cost is now 25 and I sell it for 40, deflation doesn't hurt me. Yeah, instead of 50, I sell for 40. But on the other hand, it only cost me 25, not 35. So the net is the same thing. I make $15 a bottle. That's why the deflation argument is bullshit. Prices going down works both ways, just like inflation. Inflation, your costs go up. Can you raise your price? And you can't because the market won't bear it. So if BlackRock wants to raise the rent, it only works if there's no competition. Now, your competition might be in Texas, or it might be in Florida, or it might be in South Carolina, or it might be in Switzerland. You have to be able to move where you can afford to move. That's the whole key to life, right? If the U.S. gets too expensive, maybe you move to Switzerland or Portugal or somewhere where it's cheaper and less taxes. Gold's gold, so it doesn't matter. You use it wherever you want. That's really what the whole key is. So, so people don't make more money. However, if people were to buy gold, that's the offset. That's the whole key to it. That's why. What do we call an Egon, Bobby? We got alligator because you misspelled Alistair. So we need, what are we going to call him? Eel or shark, or what are we going to call Egon? Or Egon? All right.
It was coming. had to come, and it's coming now. It's not coming as fast as maybe we would have expected, but nevertheless, it's here, and a few people will suffer very, very sadly.
But Egon, there is one reason why
I like the host.
analysts and investors say the USA is still the prosperous country, and that is the labor market. Let's have a look. Total non-farm payroll employment increased by 209,000
we don't care about
in
graphs.
23, as employment in government, healthcare, social assistance, and construction continued to trend up. Non-farm employment has grown by an average of Europe nearly no growth, USA big growth. So we have a serious problem here in Europe, but nevertheless, the dollar is tanking. So the problems of the USA are completely different. But as said, we are all on the race to the bottom.
Yeah, again, I think we're back to lies and statistics. I don't believe the US figures. These GDP figures are not measuring the real economy. And the massive increase in debt and deficits that we're seeing in the US currently is really what is contributing to the fake figures that GDP shows. And I think the real economy in the US is a lot worse than those figures are showing.
Don't you love Egon saying everything the government says is bullshit? I love it. That's why we listen to Egon. That's what he said. Do you ever hear the U.S. guy, any of those guys say that? See, he just says they're all bullshit. It's all worse than it looks like, which is what I say. So this is why we like Alligator, or whatever we're going to call Egon. Give us a name for Egon, Bobby. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. We'll keep going.
And the debt situation is just going to get worse. And in the end, people will realize that all of that debt is going to have no value, and we can talk about that later maybe as we see the coming debt implosion that I'm expecting.
The USA is the master of deception, we know that, and they still have their banking crisis looming. I'd like to quote something from Fitch here, Egon. Christopher Wolfe said in an interview, "We still believe it's a negative environment for the industry." He's meaning the local banks. "It was punctuated by some turmoil that was unique to a handful of institutions, but there was contagion effect that hit others." And about Europe, he says the following: "We have a deteriorating sector outlook for Western Europe banks, but that is mainly due to three large countries with deteriorating sector outlooks: Germany, Italy, and the UK. Germany, that is another topic. Many people in other countries can only scratch their heads what's going on here. But we are all, as said, on the way downward, and the USA in particular is threatened by the looming banking crisis, and that's not over."
Well, the banking crisis has just started, Jan. The bubble in asset prices is contributing to an extremely risky situation within the banking system. I mean, there are loan portfolios. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. The loan portfolios are going to fall dramatically. Just take commercial property in any country in Europe, especially in Germany, but even in the US. I mean, those loans are looking very, very ugly. And the commercial property market is coming down rapidly in all countries. Going to be major losses there of billions and eventually trillions. And the same will happen in the housing market also when people can't afford the new interest rates, going from 1% to 3, 4, 5% in many countries. That is more than most people can afford. And that's going to all affect the banks. So, the mid-March fall of 4 banks in the US was temporarily stopped by measures by the Fed and the banks, but that's going to come back again and hit the world badly. So I wrote.
There you go, Bobby. You asked me about the housing market, and I told you, Egon's telling you too. So you made a smart move not buying, because It's the same thing. Interest rates going up. There's two pieces to the puzzle. There's the cost of the house, 300 grand, add on 8-10% in mortgage, because everybody needs to get a mortgage. Unless you're Bill Gates or something, you're going to get a mortgage. So now you add up the 300 with the 10%, it's like 500,000, and nobody can afford it. And then if nobody can sell, you start lowering the price of the house. That's why the housing market's going to blow up. So I need to sell it. I want 300, but wait, with the interest rate, it's 5. Nobody can afford it. So I got to lower my house to 2 to sell it for maybe 3.5. I got to sell it for 150 to sell it for 3. That's the problem. And then good luck getting buyers. So yes, the housing market's done. That's why I'm saying just wait. You'll buy that little place on the beach for 100,000. Actually, you're going to pay gold for it. You won't even have to worry about a mortgage and the 10% interest rates. That's the beauty of the gold. That's why I keep pushing you to buy gold. If you can buy me 10 ounces of gold, you want to buy a house on the beach, you're going to give him 1 ounce. You won't have a mortgage. You're going to have the house on the beach because he's going to have to sell it because he's going to need money. And with the interest rates, you're going to go to the front of the line with gold. He'll take the gold because that's real money. He's not. What you going to do? And you don't have to worry about the banks with the interest rates, and all the banks are going out. So you think the banking stuff's done. Get the fucking money out of the bank. This is what I'm telling you. It's just beginning. This is why we listen to Egon. And I love the Swiss guy doing the interview. He's German, I think. But it gives you the point of view of them, how they look at us. Not this bullshit controlled U.S. look at U.S. where they can't say anything. Here's the German saying, this is all fucked up. And here's Egon saying, yeah, it's all fucked up. I don't believe any of it. That's what we want. We want the truth. And we know Egon's giving us the truth. And apparently this announcer sounds pretty good. Absolutely, Bobby. I mean, Egon just said it, right? It's got to, because interest rates are going up because of inflation. And when the banks go out, and he just said that's just starting. So as the banks start going out, interest rates go up because of STEP. This is why I read this cycle to you. The cluster of errors, step 12, banks want their money, get out of loans and debt, panic selling, abandoned projects. So this is banks going, fuck, we got bad loans, we got to get our money out. Like in margin call, that's margin call, right? They realize all the real estate trusts are worthless, they just dump them. Liquidation phase, sell, cost cutting, companies close and lay off. That's what we're in. Deflation, banks have bad loans, fiduciary money. Banks can't find willing and able to borrow. 15, banks can't find borrowers. So that's what you have. Who's the banks going to loan to? The banks don't want to loan. They're afraid of getting the money back. So if the banks won't loan, you've got people selling and you don't have anybody buying because they can't get loans to buy. But what happens is I need money because everybody's tapped out, right? Their credit cards are really high. So you owe $20,000 on your credit card. Now you lose your job. Oh, I'm fucked. Now what do I do? Well, if I would have listened to the professor, I would have had gold and silver to fall back on, but I didn't. I'm in Amazon stock, which just went to 5. So I'm fucked. I'm selling my assets, but wait, everybody's selling their assets because they lost their job and they're trying to get money. They got to pay rent, which they can't, so they sell their house or whatever they can get to get out of the mortgage. As the rates go to 10%, there's nobody left to buy because I'm not paying you $400,000 at 10%. So now you got to sell your house because you need the money for $150 because you got to get to the market, and interest rates are maybe 15% by now. As the inflation hits, this has hit the Titanic and this has gone to zero. You're fucked. So the only way to survive is gold and silver. That's the whole point of the gold and silver. Maybe you see it clearer now. As people need money, you're going to run to assets. So you go to the Montana rookie card, that's got a value. You go to gold and silver, you go to Rolex. I heard Rolex sales were down. Demand was down for Rolex. Well, that tells you something. So I have a feeling a whole shitload of people are running into gold, but you can't see it because JP Morgan's keeping the price down. So as people are piling into gold, you're not noticing it because the price is not going up. Therefore, you don't think gold's going up. So therefore, you don't want to buy gold. And I'm telling you, gold's up 10 times what the price is showing. The price should be 20,000 by now if they let it go free market like Rolexes and Montana cards. If they let it go to just its normal, I guarantee you it'd be 20,000 an ounce, which we're buying for 2,000. So yes, Bobby, real estate's going to drop. That's why I'm telling you to not buy that oceanfront property yet. Soon, you're going to take your gold and you're going to hand out 1 gold ounce and you're going to buy the fucking house without a mortgage on the beach. And that you can rent out. And since you're renting it out, all you're going to take is gold and silver. You're going to rent it out for a half ounce of gold for the week or 10 ounces of silver for the week. You're not going to play with dollars anymore. You're going to play with gold and silver to rent my place. That's it. That's how you're going to do it. I told some girl, I said, you got to buy gold and silver. She says, should I charge gold and silver? I said, yeah, you should be 4 ounces of silver for an hour. I told her, I says, you shouldn't take money because it's worthless. All right, back to Egon. Let's go to 22. Gold, okay.
Chinese yuan, Brazilian real. So the dollar is also coming under pressure from this side. And it speaks for gold, of course.
Absolutely. You know, when Trump took over from Obama, U.S. debt was 20 trillion. And at that time, I forecast that within 8 years, that it would be 40 trillion. Now, that's a very, very simple calculation because in the last 40 years or longer, U.S. debt has on average increased or doubled every 8 years. And so we are a bit more than halfway now from those last 8 years from 20 trillion, but we're already at 32.5 trillion. And definitely by beginning of 25, when next president takes over, whoever that will be, the debt will certainly be at least 40 trillion. And that, nobody believed that forecast when I made it 7.5 years ago, or 7 years ago. But it's now a fact already. And that's what we're going to see. The debt explosion, first implosion and at some point implosion, but the increase in debt short term is going to increase dramatically, exponentially probably, because there'll be more and more need for money printing to save banks, for social security,
that's inflation,
finance wars, etc. All these things that there is no money for. It's interesting, isn't it, that when it comes to a war, for example, there is unlimited resources available of money and weapons, although there is no money. So for any purpose that suits the leaders, they just print money. But the big requirements will come in the financial system. That sadly is going to lead to first massive printing on a big scale, and then at some point an implosion of the debt. But as you say, it is guaranteed that we will have for now the next few years, whatever, before the debt totally implodes, we're going to have money printing on a scale never seen before. And that combined with all the other factors of the world going from a consumer debt-led economy to, in the West, to the East and the South of a commodity-based economy and manufacturing-based economy. That will lead to, of course, a massive increase in commodity prices. and demand for commodity, and the leader, as far as we're concerned, is the king of all metals, which is gold. Quickly followed by silver, because silver is also going to go up dramatically. So like that, the benefit's going to come. Jan, we've been into gold for over 20 years, and I've never worried a day, because I know governments are working for it. Governments are going to continue to destroy the currency, and that's all that gold is reflecting, and is going to, and probably will reflect a bit more than just the decrease. Well, debate on currencies will probably.
How does that make you feel, Bobby? So now I practice what I preach. Now you understand why a little bit more. You heard it from Egon. You heard it from me. You heard it from Alligator. They're fucking up. So when you have a war, they print money. The more you print, the less it's fucking worth. However, if you own a real asset like the gold, the silver, the Montana card, the Mantle card, they go way up. And with BRICS pushing the gold-backed currency, and the fucking idiots here printing and printing and printing because they're going to be in trouble because of the debt, and you raise the interest rates, you fuck the debt up. So, because you got to pay off the debt. Well, wait, my interest rate just went up from 3% to 5%. I got to print more to pay off the same amount of debt I had before at 1%. That's my point. Titanic, boom. This is worthless. It's already worthless. It's paper. You heard Egon, what, in a year or two, and the gold and silver prices are going to go through the fucking moon. So what we have here, which is not a failure to communicate, what we have here is the biggest no-brainer sure bet you'll ever make in your. You bet my football games and I give you a 25, 30 unit lock and it wins, and you're like, okay, good pick. Georgia TCU over. This makes the Georgia TCU over look like a fucking kiddies game. This is like a 500 unit lock that if you buy gold and silver today, not only do you have zero risk, you're going to make a ton. And that not only are you going to make a ton, it's not going to be priced in this. This is going bye-bye. So when this goes bye-bye, you're going to go, well, I got gold and silver. I'm fine. That's why I sit there and yell at you guys to buy it now at 2,000 an ounce before it's 100,000 an ounce, or before it's not even valued in dollars anymore, because there won't be dollars to play. That's my point. That's why you buy it now, because you're not going to be able to find it when it goes up. How are you going to afford it? Now, yes, I'm telling you to buy those 20-ounce silver things because they're fucking $28. So for $560, and gold goes through the roof when all this shit Egon's talking about happens. Now gold's 100,000 an ounce. You take the 20 ounces that you paid $500 for, and you give me 2 ounces of gold, because at that point, silver's 10 to 1 to gold. So if gold's 100,000, silver's 10,000, which, by the way, you just bought for $28 an ounce. That's the biggest no-brainer in the world, right? Don't look at the price today. Look at the Egon price down the road. All this war, all this bullshit. We got BRICS currency because the U.S. is blowing up. How are you going to pay for the war? We're going to print and print. We got to print and print the debt, print and print this. That just makes the gold value go up. Where's your risk? There is no assault on Wall Street. It's not going to zero. It can't go to zero. One thing I noticed, to get a little bit sidetracked here, very little bit, I'm watching all these movies. I watch The Big Short. It's on. I watch Margin Call. I watch Other People's Money. I watch, I don't know, Assault on Wall Street. And the one thing I notice is Wall Street fucks everybody over, right? And the guy even says it on Assault on Wall Street. The guy says, we fuck everybody over. That's what we do. We sell these super real estate trusts. that we know are bullshit. You buy it, you guys lose your ass, and we don't lose anything, but it's the way the game works. We sell you shit, you buy it, you don't know what you're buying, and you end up losing, and all the little people lose. And The Big Short, same thing. Well, it was all real estate trust. Madoff, what was that? I don't know what Madoff was. And Enron was they're selling bullshit. So to me, the moral of the story, being an INFJ and the professor, is very simple. Never in life has gold went to zero. Never in life has anybody said to you, holding gold, it's not worth anything. The only thing you've ever heard of as gold is it keeps going up. It keeps going up. And it's being held down by COMEX. Wait till COMEX blows up and there is no more COMEX. Wait till gold. You think gold's high at 2,000. Wait till you see where it is with that. James TFX. Hi, James. Wall Street with Douglas and Sheens. It's all the same. It's all, what do they sell you? They sell you the bullshit and everybody loses, right? All the regular people lose and Michael Douglas makes all the money and the guys pulling the strings make all the money and they get bailed out. That's what you see. So everybody, I'm going to run into stock. They want you in stock because you're in this shit and you're paying a commission and they make the money on the commissions. The other guy on The Big Short, what does he say? We sold variable mortgages and the stripper bought 5 houses because that's it. Yeah, but they're all going to jump because they're adjustable rate mortgages. And that the guy made more on that. He made 10,000 a shot on that. He didn't know what he was selling. He didn't know. And the girl was like an idiot. Why aren't you buying 30-year fixed? This is why she's a stripper. She doesn't use her brain. Or she doesn't use your body to get somebody with a brain. Bobby Bo, not to get off economics, I was looking at some leg compression massages, Professor. You think we're good? Do you ever have leg pains? Well, the back pain, I did stretches in the pool, and they really help. My back doesn't bother me too much. Once in a while, if I get up wrong, I can sleep fine. I walk fine. I'm in the pool. But I do my stretches every day. Leg compression massagers. I would think you need to do your own stretches, Bobby. I don't know what it is. If it works, I'd hate to see you waste your money. But I know you said you're having a problem with your hamstring. I would just sit in a hot tub and maybe put ice on it or something like that. Stretch it out and see if that works. I mean, I guess that's what I would do. I don't know about anything like that working, but I don't want to say that's not in my wheelhouse. But I guess the worst is you try it and see if it works. But I know your hamstrings. Probably rest in the hot tub and stuff like that and stretching. Metals will fly. You're damn right, Bobby. That's why I keep yelling at you to buy gold, because gold flies. I mean, silver's going to fly, but gold flies. Gold goes from 2,000 to 100,000. Silver's going to go from 24 to 3,000 or 4,000. James, you got some silver? Wolfon of Wall Street. I hate Leonardo DiCaprio. Trading Places is a little bit different. Boiler Room with Vin Diesel. I didn't see that one. I'm not trying to go through every movie. What I'm trying to go through is that the regular guy loses his ass. And the brokers, the Shearson, Lehman Brothers, all those guys, JP Morgan, are the ones that make out, and if they lose, they get bailed out because they run the government, and the government will bail them out. That's the whole idea of a central bank, is so these guys can play around and fuck around, and if it goes belly up, they get bailed out, and everybody in the public gets fucked. So Trading Places I've seen, but that's a little different because Eddie Murphy, they sell low and buy high. They actually buy at like the 117 and sell at the 19. So it's like inverse of what you would normally do. But That's a little different. Yeah. I like the movie, but it's a little bit different. And the thing I noticed about is Jamie Lee Curtis was in T-bills. And what she should have been in was gold. It's funny. In every one of these movies, if I put the characters in gold, they're all rich and none of them can lose a penny. This is the problem I have with these movies. What are they? They never put anybody in gold. They always put you in stocks or T-bills or some bullshit that it's not going to make you anything. And you got high risk that you don't realize. Now you got high risk in the banks. BlackRock and Vanguard also, they're going broke because they're going to lose all their shit because it's in dollars. But BlackRock, I hate Larry Fink, and Vanguard, I hate that guy. But they're really just investment bankers, and the government set them up, which means the banks. And, they're trying to buy all the houses, which really doesn't make any sense. I mean, you got to buy a market. You got to have a market. That's why Anheuser-Busch should go out of business. They don't have a market. Nobody wants their beer. So they're going to keep making beer, putting it on the shelf, and nobody's going to buy it. Means you're out of business. They just don't know. It's like other people's money, right? The cable and wire is now fiber optic, and they're still selling it. He says, but the problem is we're in a bad business, but we have money. We're not broke. And this is where I question. I always watch that movie, and I always look at whatchamacallit, Gregory Peck, and I always go, but he was great in the Guns of Navarone. He could handle that. He can't handle running a company. But why didn't they understand that the cable and wireless was obsolete and they should get into the airbags? Why didn't they're running the company? Don't you know there's no more demand for your product? Like you said, the Buggy Wick company, Louis said it, Danny DeVito says, the guy selling buggy wicks, then the cars took over. So he's in an obsolete business, and the guy running the fucking business and the president don't have a fucking clue. Really? This is the idiots running your business? That's how I watched the movie. I watched the movie going, fuck. What was I watching? I was watching Titanic, and then I was watching all these things on YouTube Titanic, like what really happened. And if I was on the Titanic, it never would have sunk. Never would have sunk. If I was there, never would have sunk. If I was the captain, never would have sunk. Apparently that iceberg broke off Greenland. For 2 years, it was floating around, and they got caught in some jet stream and went like 50 miles south of where normally they are. But then I had a idiot telegraph guy who got 5 messages of icebergs and didn't say anything. And he survived, right? So, I mean, I would not, that guy would not be working for me. He wouldn't have been working for me then. But once you, and then it's like Disclosure with Michael Douglas, where they changed the specs on his IT stuff, and they weren't running right, and they should have used like handlers, 5 handlers. They're using 3 handlers, and that's what happened in the Titanic. They were supposed to use these heavy duty bolts to screw the steel in, right on the ridges. And they didn't use 5s, they used 3. So when the iceberg hit it, it never should have done any damage. But because the bolts were not the proper bolts, the bolts split because they were cheap. So if they would have used the right bolts, the Titanic never would have sunk, because it would have hit the iceberg and nothing would have happened. Just incredible. So if I'm running the thing, we're still running, right? We didn't sink. The sub was going for the Titanic gold. The sub that sunk? What are you talking about? There was the sub accident that just happened. And what gold was on the Titanic? But it doesn't surprise me. So the sub's going for the gold. Well, didn't the guy on the movie go for the gold? He went for the diamond. I saw an alternate ending today where the old woman gives the diamond to the guy, and he's like, "You had it the whole time?" And then I don't know, and then that was it. And I don't know why they didn't use that ending. I thought the ending sucked where she throws it in the water. How was that a good ending? You got something worth a lot, and the guy's looking for it. Why aren't you giving it to him? And then your daughter would have been taken care of for the rest of her life. So that was pretty stupid. All right, let's see. What do we got? 22. Let's go a little bit more with Egon.
It's all right, because I think that central banks worldwide are going to turn from worthless dollars to gold as their reserves, and because nobody wants to hold dollars, as we see the dollar declining dramatically now. And that means that you can't hold your reserves in something that is going down by the day. It's going to be worthless in a few years' time. And therefore, gold will be the obvious reserve asset for central banks. And that will lead to a major reevaluation of gold, not of a small percentage, but of a major percentage. So
God, we love Egon, don't we? That's exactly what I say, and that's about as clear as you can get. The Federal Reserves, the central banks are going to hold the gold. That's why they're buying it at these prices. I assume JP Morgan is making money off of it by keeping the price down so the central banks can buy it, but they're not aware that we're buying it. Our class here is buying gold hand over fist also. And, so they're not aware of it. But that's really the key. God, my nose itches. So that's where we're headed. Do you hear him talk about CBDCs? Not Egon. What's he talking about? Gold. Gold's the key to freedom. As I say, gold's freedom. This is slavery. You're going to be broke and poor and not eating with this. And with gold, you're going to be sitting there going, as you said on Trading Places, I'll take one of those. I'll take a lobster. I'll take a steak. We'll be Eddie Murphy just sitting there going, we did okay. All right, there's one more thing of Egon I want to get to at the 12-minute mark.
Matt, Bergen and myself, we're back for another MAM chat. It's been a while, Matt. And you mentioned it will only survive at the expense of a collapsing currency. And throughout history, you go back thousands of years, and every time you get to this situation when the world has lived above its means and created money out of nowhere. There's a Swedish economic journalist, very famous one, that I listened to the other day, and he'd recently been to the central bank, Swedish Riksbank, or the Swedish central bank, and he asked one of the top guys there, I said, where do you get the money from? Like this, he said. Like this.
Voila.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. We've been saying that you're creating money out of thin air, and don't expect it will have any value. And once this house of cards collapses, and it's only a question of to what extent it will collapse, and that will be linked to the currency collapse also, then the asset values will implode and debts will implode because nobody will repay the debts. And that's what we're going to see in the coming years. It doesn't happen overnight, and there are pauses. But, the dollar, of course, the dollar is doomed. But so is every other currency. And as I always said, it doesn't really matter which one comes first to the bottom. Because they're all down, as we've talked about many times, they're all down 99% in the last, since 1971. And who cares who wins the last 1%? The last 1% down has been 100% from here, and that's going to happen. It probably could be the dollar, but it could also be the euros, and the eurozone is in a mess. You take Sweden, the currency is dropping all the time. The people who bought gold in Swedish kroner, they're up 12 times this century. And that's just the beginning. Sweden is one of the most indebted countries when it comes to personal debt, not government debt, but personal debt. Every Swede is just indebted up to here. And at 1% or less interest, that was okay, but not at 4 or 5% now. So, as I've always said, Matt, you look at currencies and you look at gold, then all you need to do is to look at history. The trend is so clear. No currency has ever survived in history. Gold has always reflected stable purchasing power, which means it's always held its value against the dropping currencies. And that trend is now going to accelerate in the next few years here. When the currencies will collapse, including the dollar, because the de-dollarization is going to make it worse for the dollar. The dollar is artificially maintaining a high value because of the fact that America forced everyone to trade in dollars. That's stopping now. We're seeing the moves with BRICS, with Shanghai Cooperation Organization, etc. We're going to move away from the dollar, as we've talked about many times. And that would mean that the dollar will fall faster, but all currencies will fall. And we're back to gold, of course. Gold is going to maintain purchasing power value, which it always has. And therefore, relative to accelerating falls in every single currency, gold is now going to become more important than ever. And as I've talked about before, and also in articles, that gold might become also the reserve currency that central banks hold in the future rather than the dollar. And that will make a big difference also to the gold and the gold price and the demand for gold.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
You asked that question, James, after what he just said. He doesn't like crypto. He doesn't know what it is. Neither do I. All I can say is, how do you value crypto? You value it in dollars, right? So if the dollar goes to zero, what's crypto's value? We know what gold's value is. If the dollar goes to zero, it doesn't matter for gold. Gold will have its own value because it's gold. Crypto doesn't have a value because we don't know what it is. It's not money. It's not a medium of exchange. It's certainly not gold. So what's crypto's value going to be? It's going to be zero. It can't have a value. Is it going to be valued in gold? I don't know, but I know what gold's going to be valued in. You'll take an ounce and buy a house. Are you going to do that with a Bitcoin? Can you take a Bitcoin? But wait a minute, it's not even currency because nobody takes it. It's not money. It's not a medium of exchange. In other words, you can't go to a store and use it. Therefore, it's not money. So when money goes out, what value is crypto going to have? I'll let you answer your own question. It's valued in dollars now. It's $19,000 or $29,000. But when the dollar goes out, does crypto have its own value? We know gold does. So I lead you to that question. In my mind, I'm 100% in gold. All I do is get my paycheck, pay my bills. The rest goes into gold and silver. Goes into my safe with my Mantle cards, and that's it. I mean, that's how I view economics, that way. Blockchain cannot be broken down or reprinted. Maybe, maybe not, but what is it? It's a technology, but it's not money. So therefore, how do you value blockchain? So you give me that answer, James, and then we'll understand it. But I get the technology, but it's not money and it doesn't have a value. You know, it's like saying, how much does a car engine work? Because it makes the car go. Well, that's what a blockchain is, but it doesn't really have a value. It's not money. It's an instrument to move things around, but you're not dealing with money with crypto. I'm that annoyed guy, or did Igor just get a haircut? No, Igor, we're going to call him Igor. This was the different video, and I guess he got a haircut. I meant use that another guy typo. Use that another guy. I'm that annoyed guy. No, this isn't the annoyed guy. This is another guy from Matterhorn. I meant use that another guy typo. You got me, Bobby. I don't know. No, that's Igor with his hair. This was a different Igor video my point was I wanted you to see where he's again touting that. Now for James, I'm gonna touch base on.
Does your career
this one
feel clouded by doubt?
And that means that you can't hold your reserves in something that is going down by the day. It's going to be worthless in the future.
And money.
Okay, James, listen up.
Well, you know my views of cryptos. I think that they could be spectacular investment, and some people have made a lot of money. Some people have bought at the top and lost a lot of money. The authorities don't know what they really want to do with it. So now there was a partial victory in this case because when it came to hedge funds, etc., they did not accept the ruling or the previous ruling. So hedge fund, that was illegal to market to hedge fund. But anyway, to the public, it was not illegal, and that was basically what the judgment was about. For us who concentrate on wealth preservation, I don't really focus on cryptos. It's not a market that we invest in. It's not a market we recommend to our wealth preservation clients. If they want to play in that market with small money, by all means do that. We are not doing it, and therefore I don't have a strong view, Jan. It could have been a coincidence, but it could also have been planned. But I think that most countries, they don't even know how they're going to play that market. They know that if they one day introduce the central bank digital currencies, then I think they will not allow private cryptocurrencies to compete with their main currencies.
It is used for.
You got that, James? Now that's Egon, or as we're calling him, Igor. With Bobby, we get a lot of nicknames, but that's his view. That's my view. Is it's not money. It's not a medium of exchange. And we know how the government is about not wanting competition. So all I can say is, if I were you, I'd be buying gold and silver hand over fist after what you just heard from Igor or Egon about central banks going to gold. Gold is gold. There's nothing else. It's the king. I don't know what you're fighting. So what you're asking is, I'm giving you a lock, take Kansas City and Mahomes, and you're saying, should I take the Lions? And I'm like, why aren't you asking about Kansas City? Why would you want the Lions? Kansas City's the king. They got the best quarterback besides Burrow, and they just won the Super Bowl. But you're dicking around with the Lions or Jacksonville or Tennessee, and that's my point. Why would you want the second best? Don't take it personally. I never got into crypto because I don't know what it is. It's not money. It's not a medium of exchange, but I'm an economist. I understand that. It's got to be accepted. It is not accepted. You cannot go buy a car with it. You cannot buy groceries with it. You can't go to the dinners with it. I can't go to the barbecue restaurant and use it. So that's what you got to understand. It's not money. It's a bullshit thing of they're limited to 21 million. And as I say, believe me, my Montana rookie card does not have 21 million PSA 10 rookie cards. They're lucky to have 100. So I don't know why people think 21 million is a limited amount when I got a Tom Brady rookie card worth 80 grand that says 768. You're dicking around with 21 million. I got 768 in a Brady rookie card. I got a 50 count Mahomes card. That's limited. This and there's nothing different between the two. That's the point I'm saying is the baseball cards and the crypto are the same thing. Neither of them are, they're both, and I'm not even sure if crypto is an asset. It has a value, but I know my Montana card's an asset because I got it. I can hold it. So that's my difference is if I can hold, this is an asset, I can hold it, I got it. All I can tell you is do not be in ETFs or IRAs gold. They're not real gold and you'll lose your ass in them. You think you have money. That's why this Rick Rule and Sprout should be put in jail, because they're trying to sell ETFs as if they're real gold, and they're not. The only gold you should buy is physical. Buy the coins or buy the little bars. That's fine, but do not buy ETFs thinking you own gold. Do not buy stocks thinking you own gold, or IRAs thinking you own gold. The only gold you own is when you have it in your hand and it's a coin and it's got an eagle on it, or it's got a panda on it, or it's got a cougaran on it. Otherwise, it's bullshit. Sorry, well, that's okay, Bobby. I know it's late and you're tired, you're fasting. That can be a new WWF tag team, Alligator and Igor. Igor, you misspelled that. Maybe they use the demise of the crypto as the cause for collapse of the dollar. No, the dollar's being inflated. They're printing the dollar to death, James. That's got nothing to do with crypto. And understand inflation. Inflation is printing the dollar to zero. That's it. Prices are the effect because it takes more dollars to buy the Coca-Cola. That's why prices go up. The inflation itself is not prices. Prices is printing this to zero, which they're doing a good job. They're print. They're going to print more and more for the debt and the war, and they're going to print it to zero. Just like the Nazis did in the 1920s when they printed the Deutschmark and you needed a wheelbarrow full of money. Why did they do that? Because they kept printing it and it had no value. Now, they did it to pay for World War I, which obviously didn't work. Now they came out with a new currency, and then Hitler stole all the gold from all the countries. That's what he did. You're telling me that they went, there was some sort of gold on the Titanic, and I'm going to say, well, why didn't the guy in the movie take the gold? I heard that today, that one of the guys on the Titanic was like the richest guy in the world. And he got on, and I think he had gold. So maybe the gold went down with the ship. I don't know. If it was me, I would have went back, taken the gold, put it in my pocket, and tried to survive there. But had they put the right bolts in, the Titanic would not have sunk in 2 hours. The Titanic would have sunk in 6 hours, and the Carpathian came 2 hours later, would have saved everybody. So the bad bolts fucked everybody up. That's show business. They can come out to the ring wearing gold and silver. Well, that'd be my colors. You know that. They can be called the alligators or the Igor Gators. Yeah, I think, they'd wear gold, Alistair and Egon. They'd play The Rock and Stone Cold. It would be a good match. What was I thinking? I had a thought about The Rock. What was I thinking about? It was one of these war movies. Oh, God, it was so funny. You'd love it. I wonder what The Rock would have done on the Titanic. What do you think? Do you think he would have went down, or do you think he would have laid the smack down on the guy and got into one of the life boats? And the thing, another mistake was, it was not women and children only. It was women and children first. The men should have been on the boats also. So when you see the wife cry and stay with the husband should have went in the boat too. That's not what the captain said. He said women and children first, not only. So they're only loading the women and children on. It should have been the men also, if you had room. And half of them went, and they weren't full, and they didn't bring all the lifeboats that they should have. It was fucking ridiculous. Igor can give Elon the rock bottom. Elon Musk, I hate Elon Musk. Yeah, Igor. Well, I think he could. There was something. It was so funny. Oh, I think it was. Here's an 8-man tag team. You got Hitler, Himmler, Goering, and Goebbels against Hogan, Flair, The Rock, and Stone Cold. And Flair would have put Hitler in a figure 4. That would have been it. And Hogan would have dropped the leg on Himmler, and The The Rock would have rock bottom Goring. That would have been a perfect 8-man match. Alligator versus Peter Schiff and Karl Marx. It's just, see, the problem is you guys listen when I try to explain economics, right? You understand. You want to learn. The communist doesn't want to learn. I'm proud I read Karl Marx and that. And the whole, like, he doesn't get the division of labor. He thinks it's like what I read, where the corporation should there should be equal earnings, but they don't understand there's got to be risk to take it. Oh, in a communist system, the government would never start a Starbucks. It doesn't make sense to them. They don't take risks. If they need coffee, they make coffee. They don't, the government's not going to take the risk, and they're not going to give you the reward. And if you think you're going to get an equal cut from the government, you're out of your fucking mind. As I said, I've never met a guy from Russia, and I know a lot of them here who would never go back to Russia. Daria can't wait to come here, but I can't even go there because I can't get a visa. She can't get out. Maybe Turkey, although they're having huge inflation. So even if we go to Turkey, it's going to be expensive. Her mom just flew back here. Her mom went from here to Turkey to visit her, but her mom is a Russian citizen, so she doesn't need the visa. I couldn't get the visa if I wanted it because they're not giving visas to U.S. people. Plus, my money wouldn't be any good. So if I went to Russia right now and I brought my bullshit, $1,000 of this crap, they wouldn't even take it. I couldn't even survive there. I'd have to bring my gold and silver, which I don't want to bring at this price. That would be it. So keep that in mind. I can't even go see her. Jenna had this 2-day trip back from Berlin. I don't know what the fuck happened. She goes to Berlin, and then on the way back, she's supposed to train back to Warsaw and then train back to her city in the Ukraine. And she couldn't. I guess it was sold out. Well, why didn't you reserve the seat? Or you're staying at your friend's, why didn't you just stay another day or two till you could reserve the train? I didn't understand that either. Unless the friend was kicking her out, but I don't think she would have. But it's very, very strange. James, Teaserking in bed with the Russians. Absolutely. The Russians are hot. And they're nice. They're the nicest girls. They appreciate it. They appreciate a nice, loving guy more than the Americans do. Americans don't appreciate anything. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Russians. You don't want to be in bed with Putin, but you want to be in bed with the hot Russian girls. Absolutely. And they're very nice. As long as you're honest with them, they're beautiful girls. Anyway, so that was Egon. So I found his channel. So again, his channel. It's Gold Switzerland by Matt or something, or by Matthew. Just go to this one. Gold will go. When don't you hold gold? When elephants can fly is when you don't hold gold. So just go to that one, and then I just save it as that. He does a monthly show, and he writes for Matterhorn or Gold something. So we can follow Egon a little bit more. We did alligator the other day. I think I did it Saturday or Sunday. He came out with that. I think I found another alligator today. And don't waste your time with this one. Oh no, don't waste your time with 132. Yeah, the Andrew Maguire was really disappointing. He had a weatherman in that doing trend analysis. And I roll my eyes with the trend analysis. It doesn't work because there's too many variables. It doesn't work in football anymore because everybody's changing. The only team that can work for now is Kansas City, and we're getting close to Cincinnati because they have the same coach and Joe Burrow. Otherwise, now you got the Jets. What trend analysis are you going to use for the Jets? You can't, because Aaron Rodgers is there and he looks pretty good. Kansas City, they make a big deal. Oh, they lost a big player. They didn't lose anybody. They lost Tony. Who gives a fuck? He's always injured. As long as they didn't lose Kelsey or Mahomes, KC's fine. And the Lions lost a cornerback. Like, who cares? They still don't have a defense. So anyway, these Egon ones are really good. So I watched these 3. He's got them where they're all like 1950. What else? So again, stop listening to the government statistics. They're all bullshit. Tesla, why is Tesla stock so high? They can't sell the car. They have to keep lowering the price. That means their margin's down. So if it costs them $30,000 to create a car, they got to sell it for 40, but they can't. So they keep lowering their price. They just lowered it again to 30. Well, I don't know what their margins are, but if they're trying to sell it for 40 or 50, means their margins are in the 40s. You're not making it for 20 and selling it for 50. So they keep lowering their price, which means their margins are nothing. And I don't know why their stock's so high. I would dump their stock. And with higher interest rates, if you own Tesla, get the fuck out of that. If you own any stock, get the fuck out, because they're all going to go, because, as Alligator says, because of all the foreign investment, once they realize the dollar is going out or going down, they'll sell all their stocks in all the banks. And as the banks start going out, all the Germans and UK and the Chinese are out of the US market. Right now it's safety, but then as people realize you got Biden running it and it's not so safe, they're fucked. So if they got money in it, so me and Bobby had 50 million in euro. We see the euro. We just hear Egon saying euro's fucked. We get the fuck out of it, right? We sell our stocks. We sell our bring our money back, and we buy gold. But that's what we should have done anyway. But that's what all these people see. They don't get gold. So what are they in? They're all in stocks. Or they got their money in the bank because U.S. is better. But now they're going to open their eyes and realize the U.S. dollar is dog doo-doo. This is the U.S. dollar, and I'm really tempted to cut it again. It's worth about this now, right? So this is what the U.S. dollar. This is what the $100 bill's worth, 1%. So stop fucking around. Stop trying to get into stocks and make money. I've given you the perfect investment that it's a once in a lifetime. Just buy your fucking gold and silver. Stop worrying about this. You don't want to buy houses because the housing market's about to collapse. You can't buy a car because the interest rates. What the fuck do you want to do in stocks? I don't get it. I don't. Or what are you going to buy? Farmland? You're going to be Farmer Jack? I honestly don't get it. It's the biggest no-brainer I've ever seen in my life. It's my lock. Just as we talk college football and baseball and everything else. It's the biggest lock I've ever seen in my life, gold. You have zero risk. It can't go to zero. You pay $2,000 for an ounce of gold. What's your risk? Where's it going? It's not going anywhere. It's going up once we get JP Morgan out of the picture. So if JP Morgan was staying in the picture, we could see maybe it doesn't go anywhere. It's gone. But we understand they're the ones holding it down, and we understand they're gone. You have no fucking risk, and you're going to turn your $2,000 coin into $100,000. But yet, I want to be in Bitcoin. I want to go buy a farm. I don't understand. I really can't understand why the fuck you're just not jumping into gold. I don't get it. Really, I can't. It's too puzzling for me. Yeah, week 1 Chiefs are going to stomp the Lions. Yep. I see Mahomes been playing a lot of golf. Oh, okay. I probably could have when I was healthy. I could shoot mid 70s, upper 70s. I couldn't shoot 65. That's why I couldn't get on the tour. But I can shoot on the school course, which is an extremely hard course. It was a U.S. Open qualifier where I went to undergrad. I shot 77 on it. I had 4 birdies, and there was just a few holes I just couldn't reach, and just couldn't get there. But depending if I'm healthy, again with my back and my shoulder and my feet, if I can be healthy, I can play with anybody. I can play with the pros. I can play with Rory. He chokes. My biggest point was if I ever met who's that big bulky guy? What's his name? It looks like a linebacker. If I ever met, see, that's the problem with golf. I don't know his name. If I ever met him, I would just chew him out. Golf is not a sport you bulk up for. Football is a sport you bulk up for, but not golf. Golf is a lean sport. You want the lean muscles because you want club head speed. That's the whole idea of golf, is to swing the club as fast as you can. If you have the big Arnie Schwarzenegger muscles, you cannot swing it faster than if you had leaner muscles. You want Tom Watson muscles. You want Jack Nicklaus muscles. He had big legs, but his arms and chest were not built. You do not want to build your muscles. Oh, yeah, Brooke Koepka. If I ever met Brooke Koepka at a bar or something, I would bitch him out. I'd say, "You're a fucking idiot. You what are you bulking up for? Do you know you're playing golf or do you think you're playing football?" And I would bitch the hell out of him because he's an idiot. That's why he keeps getting injured, because it's not a sport of bulk. It's a sport of speed. And to be fast, you got to have lean muscles, not big muscles. So these guys, that's why Tiger Woods hasn't played in 10 years, because he bulked up on his steroid. He took steroids, obviously. And I don't get why he got married. I mean, if you want to fuck all the girls, what are you getting married for? You're Tiger Woods. You got $1 billion. And if you got a Swedish bikini model and she doesn't satisfy you, what'd you get married for? God, some people are so fucking stupid. But I could definitely give Mahomes a battle. I don't know what he shoots, but I can shoot mid-70s when I'm healthy. So I'd like to see him beat that. And if he can beat that, then he'll be on the pro golf tour, not on the football game. I know I could beat Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley. That would be easy. They both suck at golf. Anyway, we got football coming up. July 25th isn't the Hall of Fame game this weekend? And then we start football. Now, what we're going to look for football, I still need my quarterbacks answered. I don't know who Washington's quarterback's going to be. I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be there. I don't know who Arizona's quarterback's going to be. I guess Derek Carr is going to play for the Raiders. We'll see. Or no, Garoppolo. Derek Carr will be New Orleans. Is Mariota for Atlanta? Who's Carolina's quarterback? Who's Indy's and Houston's? I can't believe they're going to start Richardson and C.J. Stroud. Oh, my God. Curry loves golf, too. I can beat all 3 of their asses. See, now, if The Rock tried to play golf, he couldn't do it. He's too bulky. Ric Flair could play golf, but not The Rock. The Rock's too built up to play golf because you don't want big muscles and swing the club real fast. That's why you never see a good golfer who's bulked up. That's why you see that Brooke Koepka always injured, because he won a few. I don't know how he did, but it doesn't last when you're bulked up. But anyway, that's what we're looking for. So in the preseason, we're looking for who's starting the quarterback. We're not really looking at much because these guys don't play anymore. I swear, the stupidest coaches I've ever seen. You're supposed to play your guys in the preseason, get them ready for the regular season, especially when you got to bye. Oh, we're worried about injury. Well, you're going to hurt a lot more of your players by not playing them in the preseason. Wait till week 1 comes and half the team's out with pulled hamstrings and tweaked ankles and knees. I mean, wait till that happens when these guys aren't in condition. And you only get in condition by playing full speed games, not practice. And Bobby can tell you, it's like getting ready for baseball. The only way you can do it is to play a real game, get you ready for baseball, not the pitching machine and not batting practice. Does not get you ready for hitting a 92 mile an hour Verlander pitch. The only way you can get ready for it is to face Verlander in a real game, not to scrimmage or practice or hit the batting cage. That I guarantee you. So that's why I don't understand these coaches, and they wonder why they get fired every fucking year. Belichick would play Brady. That's why they always won, right? I would think Aaron Rodgers is going to play preseason, at least the first. He'll play a quarter, I would think, and for sure in the third game he'd want to play a quarter and get used to the receivers and all that shit. Look for Russell Wilson in Denver to play. Melvin Gordon's not on Denver. I was shocked. He's on a different team, I saw. I don't know why they get rid of him, but they must have got another running back. And then, so what's going on with Dalvin Cook and Henry and Jacobs? Well, Oakland, you got the better guy since Sarah McCormick. You don't need Jacobs. And he didn't play last year, so he's itching to go. But these I think they just want too much money, and they're paying the receivers too much so they can babysit like Jalen Hurts to get A.J. Brown and Devon Smith, and they're paying them so much to babysit because Hurts can't complete a pass over 5 yards. And the same thing with Tagliavua. All these Alabama quarterbacks are they can't hit the broadside of a barn. And Jones, so they got to babysit him with receivers, and then off they go. But then they can't afford running back. Like Philly let that real good running back go, and they're signing the defensive guys because they're cheaper than the offensive guys. You sign a linebacker from Georgia, he's not as expensive as a running back who gained you 2,000 yards last year. I love my analogies on Lamar Jackson and chess. I thought it was perfect. That's the problem with Lamar Jackson. He doesn't play his bishops and his rooks. He wants to be the bishop and the rook and the queen. And Aaron Rodgers has bishops and rooks that he uses, and that's why he's good, and Lamar sucks, basically. So what else? So I wanted to show you, Egon. We all know, just go buy your gold. Buy as much as you can. At least buy your silver. But Bobby, I want to see you buy more gold. I don't know. You never say you buy gold. So I don't know if you have it and you don't say it, or you just buy silver. But I'd like to have you at least with 10 ounces of gold. Because when gold goes through the roof, I'm telling you, you're going to buy a house with the gold on the beach, and then you can rent it out. But silver is doesn't go up as high. Gold is the gold standard, not the silver standard. Now, again, I plan on taking my 20 ounces and buying 2 ounces of gold, trading it in. We'll see what happens with that. But that's my intention. So Jenna's got 2 ounces of gold and 10 ounces of silver. So she'll be one of the richest girls in the Ukraine, and she doesn't even understand it yet. She knows it's good, but she sees the price go, well, it's not worth that much. We need a lot. And I go, just wait. I keep trying to explain it to her, but I don't think she believes me. Anyway, she's sick. She's got high blood pressure. And she said she played tennis the other day. I didn't know she played tennis. And says, I'm just so tired. I go, well, you didn't. You're 2 days on a train, and now you're running to play tennis instead of sleeping. So I don't know, but I hope she's okay. Anyway, so that's about it. I don't know what else. So I might go to Vegas in September. Does anybody know like a good like apartment, or can you rent a hotel for a month, get a monthly rate? Like I would stay at the Tuscany for a month. Like the Comfort Inn when I came back from Alabama was $65 a night. Normally it's $90 a night, but if you stayed the whole month, it was only $65. And that's what I'd be looking for in Vegas. So because I work remote, we have budgets in August and September. I might go to Vegas for football, but I can basically live there for the month, which would be great. And then I'd work. I'd have to get up early to get on Wisconsin time, and I'd be done by 2:00. And then I'd have the afternoon and night to swim and go to the casinos. So I think I might do that, but I'm looking for, because I got to pay rent here, so I'm looking for a monthly hotel like the Tuscany, but and not have that stupid resort fee. What a bunch of bullshit that is, the resort fee. That's what's killing Vegas. They're so fucking stupid. They don't understand it's for casinos. So they want to charge you to use the pool. They want to charge you for the hotel and the restaurants. And then they want to have a bunch of $50 blackjack, which nobody plays. And then they wonder why they're hurting in sales. I mean, same thing. Their costs are up. Sales are down. I don't get it. And then MGM tries to fuck you with 13-10 odds on a teaser. I was going to bet the Super Bowl at MGM, 13-10 odds. I just shove it up your ass. 13-10 on a 2-team teaser? You out of your fucking minds? So I knew MGM. See, that's how they're trying to screw you too. Oh, bet MGM. Yeah, where the odds are so bad that you can't even bet them. Then I hear all these idiots going, oh, I can bet to win the Heisman. I get 1,100 to win. Whoever, and you're like, well, those, it should be 4,000 to 1. You're getting 1,100. What's so good about that? MGM fucks you on the odds. So does DraftKings. All these little ones do. Try to stick with William Hill. They seem to have the best odds. Or if you're in Vegas, then definitely go to William Hill. At least they used to be. I haven't been there in a year, so I don't know. I used to gamble at Caesars. I'd make my bets. Venetian, I'd make my bets. Any William Hill property. Those were I remember going to William Hill. You didn't even have odds on the teaser. It was even money. I bet a college teaser, it was even money, and pros were 11-10. And if I put a pro at the college, it was 11-10. But if I put the college teasers were even money, I couldn't believe it. This was a couple of years ago. So I haven't, with COVID, and I didn't go last year, so I got to check that out. But they were the best. But that's how they're fucking you too, is all the be careful of the odds on the teasers. Anyway. Tired, long day, work. 10:30. I started work about 8. And now it's a 9-hour day, Monday through Thursday. Friday, I'm done at noon, off to the gold store, off to the pool. So anyway, that's what we'll do. So keeping my eye on football. Again, anybody who says deflation's a Keynesian, you don't want to listen to. If they don't talk gold, you don't want to listen to them. Just listen to Igor. Listen to Igor and Alligator, and then you'll be fine. Anything else? What else? James, welcome to the family. James TFX, Trade FX. Yeah, you should try the Russians, James, or the Ukrainians. They're about the same. They're the prettiest and the nicest. They got such smooth skin. It's unbelievable. Hey, Bobby, with your LSU, bet it's small. Florida State, you don't want to start fucking with good teams. I know you like LSU, but wait till they play Ole Miss or Old Mississippi State or Alabama. Then you jump on them. But against a good Florida State team, I wouldn't be jumping on it. Jump on the Army instead. Go Army, beat Navy. Anyway, so Teaserking's all set. Prices are up. Passwords are up. I know it's a bit early. I've had my one guy who buys the year. He gave me 1/3 last week. He'll buy 1/3 in August and 1/3 in September. So he's buying the whole year, and he can't wait. I made him a ton of money the last few years. He's been with me 4 or 5 years, like Nick, 4 or 5 years. And we got to get Bobby on the team. Bobby's not buying. We got to get Bobby to make some money for Bobby. All right, anything else? So again, Egon's on his little gold channel, Matterhorn Gold. So he's got those three. I would definitely watch. Although he's pretty much the same. They ask him about the gold prices. I don't worry about it. I know it's going to go through the roof, so I just wait for it to go through the roof, and I can see. But as they said about the credits, in my mind, the credit cards, they're going to zero. We're not going to be paying our credit back. I don't see how we're going to pay it. The government's not going to pay theirs. I don't see how we're going to pay ours. Because once the dollar's gone, how do I pay you? What's the value? So it's either zero because they can't value our money in our banks, or they came out with a new currency and everything switches over. So now if you owe 10 grand on a credit card, maybe you owe 5 of the new currency. You got 50,000 in the bank. Maybe now you got 25 in the new currency. I don't know. I thought they're just going to wipe it out. You don't have any money in the currency. You don't have any money on your credit cards or your mortgage. So we'll see on that. And again, CBDCs, if they're not backed by gold, they're just going to fiat. If they're not backed by gold, whatever they come out with will be worthless in 6 months because nobody's going to trust them. So unless you hear backed by gold and you can verify it's backed by gold, not just that they say it, but that they actually can prove it, that's what you want to. You always want to be in gold because they can't fuck with gold. They can't print gold. That's the beauty of it. So that's what we're in. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm a little bit tired. 10:30 on a Tuesday. I'll be back Thursday night, and then we'll see about Friday. I don't remember if I did it Friday. I don't think I did Friday. And then I did Saturday, Sunday. I'll do it if something comes up. And now you got your Egon and alligators. So those are the only ones I would listen to. All these other Rule and Rickards and Maloney and Shift, and just don't even waste your time with these guys. Are clueless. When you listen to Egon and you listen to those guys, it's night and day. But the difference is we know Egon's right because I know I'm right because I got a master's in it and I learned it. I'm not guessing. And all these other guys are just saying words that they don't know. It's like the communist. He talks about capitalism, says, well, it's the market, and the market is going to bear it, but he can't. It doesn't make sense. Well, in communism, they share all the profits of the company with the workers. What are you talking about? They don't do that in communists. The government runs everything and keeps all the money. That's why Putin's got all the money. Yeah, let's do Thursday night. Well, it's always economics and football, Bobby. You just ask your questions and we'll cover whatever. The women, the poker, whatever you want. But yeah, I mean, it's a broad class on purpose. I'll start talking gold and I'll get football questions. I saved Eric's ass when he wanted Tampa the other day, and I told him to get on Baltimore, and Baltimore won because how can you bet on a pitcher that has a 7 ERA? And Baltimore beat him like 6-2. It ended up where he wanted under 8.5. I said go over, and it ended at 8. But I told him to go to Baltimore versus Tampa. So he won. If he played, he would have played Baltimore and won. But yeah, I mean, that's why I put such a broad base on the title, because we'll cover any and all of it. And that's why we go a couple hours. Yeah, Figure Thursday, Bobby. You can always email me with questions if you want. Just go to www.teaserking.com, get my email there, and off we go. So anyway, I'm looking into how to do some shorts. Like I want to do like Egon short or gold short. That way, if you're watching it, you don't have to go 2 hours. But I'll tell you, I was watching my class the other day, and I was riveted. I was like listening, going, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So it was almost like I was listening to myself, but not as me, as somebody else. And I was like, I couldn't turn it off. I was like, yeah, man, it was good. So if I keep my own attention, I know I'm doing something right. All right. Have a good day. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We're getting there. Buy your gold and silver while you can, while it's cheap. Anyway, have a good night. Stay healthy. Bobby, how did you do on your fast before we go? You do it. How many hours did you do? I know you were starting at Sunday at 1. Today's Tuesday. You still on it, or did you just do 24? You still there, Bobby? I'll ask you next time. Anyway, Carmen did it. Carmen she was like tonsillitis or something. And I told her to do the fast, and I showed her Dr. Ekberg. And I think she did the fast. I don't know. She just said it was great. Thank you. And I think she was actually sincere. You never know with Carmen. But I think she did the fast and her throat got better. So I was happy for her. So anyway, tell me next time, Bobby. So I hope the fast went well for you and your back's better, although you said your hamstring's bothering you. But just be careful. Just a lot of heat or ice or something. Stretch it. All right. Have a nice night, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Buy your gold. Watch Egon. Watch Alligator. All right. Watch me. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice night.